Hi everybody, thank you for being here. This is Mairi, the Autistic Astrologer. If it's your first time here, thank you for being here. Be sure to like and subscribe. You can find me on social media at mmhealingservices or at the Autistic Astrologer on Facebook and on YouTube. Today we're going to do the cosmic update for mid-March, end of March. So we're going to just kind of talk about what this energy is like surrounding this shift as we move the sun into Aries. That's going to bring us this new buzz, this new feeling in the air. And it's almost like this new start that we've been waiting for, many people have been waiting for through 2020. We're going to really start feeling like we're moving further away and putting more distance between ourselves and the things that have happened in the past. So we're starting this kind of new shift into the energy. This happens as the sun moves into Aries. That happens on the 20th of March, the spring equinox. It's when we have, equal parts day and night, light and darkness. And so we're starting to really come into finding a balance, finding a stride in this new type of energy that we're going to be feeling. So on the 20th, the sun moves into Aries, and it's followed very quickly on the 21st by Venus into Aries as well. So we're going to have both the sun and Venus in Aries. Venus is further away, so it's Earth and then the sun and then Venus. So our Venus, our wants, our needs, our relationships, those things will have a tendency to be like hidden or blocked by the sun, which is our purpose, our drive, our bravery, our courage, our soul's core. But it's also the opportunity to align our values with our core energies as we have these so close together. Not to mention that Aries has been holding Chiron, and we're going to have the sun and Venus moving into this beautiful conjunction with Chiron, which is our wounded healer, for the full moon that happens at the end of the month. So we're going to break all of that down. We're going to talk about it all and kind of talk about what that means for you and how we can utilize this energy to help us moving forward. So we've talked about this shift into Aries with the sun. Aries, it's the astrological new year. Right? It's the first sign of the zodiac. When we shift into Aries, that is, spring is here, newness, renewal, rebirth. So as nature is springing, and I'm talking about the northern hemisphere, is springing into abundance and fertility, so is the cosmic energy bringing newness into, our lives. And so we have Venus there, so there's this bit of beauty and creativity that comes with this energy as we shift in, this almost like comforting ability to see where we want to go. So all of that stuff is possible within this energy. And as we move on to the 21st, we have Mars making a trine to Saturn. So Mars and Saturn have been doing, this aspect for a while. This is the third time that Mars and Saturn will aspect in this cycle. And what that means, well, the first two times were squares. This time is a trine. And what that means is squares are conflict. Squares are uncomfortable. Trines are harmonious. They're much more comfortable energy. So for this third aspect between Mars, our warrior, our passionate go-getter, our aggressor, and Saturn, our structures, our stability, our responsibility, instead of them clashing like they have the last two times, this time it's a harmonious trine. And so we have this ability to temporarily work with the structures that maybe over the last year, over the last, cycles, have really been something holding you back, is being able to utilize the structures or make the plan or fit all the pieces together. And this energy, as we have a trine between Mars, our doer, and Saturn, our structures. It gives us the ability to work with the structures opposed to combating them or working against them. It's also a good time for us to consider how we can restructure ourselves and restructure our communities and the way that we network, right? And so this is happening with Saturn in Aquarius, which is why we bring in community and why we bring in restructuring, focus on the future, and for all of humanity, a way to kind of smooth out the inequity and the just all of the oppression and things that we see in society. This is a time for you to do our part, right, in shifting that structure, to restructure and reform the future of our community and our place in that. And so that's on the 21st when we have this 10-degree trine. Mars is in Gemini. So Mars in Gemini wants to be doing everything. It wants to get its hands in everything. And when it trines Saturn at 10 degrees of Aquarius on the 21st, we're really going to be able to put some of that, some of those thoughts that Gemini Mars is having and putting them into a sort of plan or a sort of structure in that time. So early in the morning of the 21st, the moon is also going to move into Cancer. And that means it's going to square the sun that has just moved into Aries and Venus that has just moved into Aries and Chiron that is in Aries. So the moon is our feelings. And so when it's squaring off with the sun and Venus and Chiron, it's also a potential to really be at odds with our emotions versus our intellect. Okay, so Aries, although it's not an air sign, it's a fire sign, but it's still very intellectual. It's spontaneous. But with the moon in Cancer, we're looking for comfort and nurturing. And so there may be a bit of our feelings being at odds with what we have to get done, with what we have to do to restructure. And so that is a potential energy to have there on the 21st as well. So again, this is Sunday the 21st. Venus moves into Aries. Venus is moving faster than the sun, so it's going to catch up with Aries, and we're going to talk about that. But with Venus and the sun in Aries, this is potential to be very spontaneous, very impulsive, very adventurous, and how that's going to react to each person is going to be specific based on their natal chart. So if this is a collective energy reading. So if you want to know more about how these energies will affect you specifically, then you can reach out to me on any of my platforms. I'll be happy to help you. You can book a session or a reading if you want to learn more about it or just hear about it and how it will affect you. I'll help you in as many ways as I can. You can also find a free birth chart online in multiple places. I recommend astro.com. Then if you have any questions, you can always pop over to my Facebook page, The Autistic Astrologer, and we can chat more about it there. But Aries energy, it's going to give this like new buzz and new vibe around love and passion and creative adventures. And so if you're not comfortable with impulsive energy, newness, spontaneity, this energy could be very difficult and very frustrating, very anxious, right, for you if that's not an energy that works well within your chart. And so that may be something that you may find difficult. If you're someone that thrives in being spontaneous, then this energy really may uplift that and provide you that burst of energy and adrenaline that you've been looking for with both the sun and Venus moving into Aries within 24 hours. There will be many of us will feel that shift happening pretty dynamically throughout the next few days. Dynamically? I don't know. So anyway, there's this burst of passion and flavor in this change as we move forward. So the other part of this is that we've had so much air energy with the Aquarius energy that we've had and will continue to have. This is a dip into Aries, which is much more heart-centered. So it's going to be much more based on what I feel in that moment. Again, with that spontaneous energy. This is going off of what feels good and what feels right. Aries is the baby of the zodiac, and sometimes that energy is selfish, but it's in a way of selfish for me and for all. So Aries really, in their highest evolution, that energy is very much I am we, right? So I hold all of us within myself, and when I'm selfish for myself, it is looking out for the whole. And so that's an interesting dynamic that sometimes gets lost in the Aries energy. They are selfish, but it's in this way of, when I'm selfish for myself, I'm selfish for, all of humanity and all of the universe, because I hold all of the universe within me. And so that energy is going to play out as we kind of move through Aries season, and especially as we get into the full moon that happens in a couple weeks. But this is very much heart center and heart driven, and much less mind centered and based in the intellect, which is kind of what we've been doing over the last couple months, is really been up in the mind, figuring things out. And now we're dropping down into the heart center a little bit deeper, and making more decisions based on how they feel. That's going to be amplified because we have Mercury that is now in Pisces, and on the 21st there's going to be a harmonious sextile between Pisces, Mercury, and Uranus in Taurus at 8 degrees. And this is a different conversation than the conversation with Mars and Saturn that we talked about before. So this is still the same day. So Mars and Saturn are trining and giving us this kind of harmonious ability to work with structure and work with a plan, and restructuring the way we show up for our community and networking, etc. And then we have this Pisces Mercury. And when Mercury is in Pisces, it's very intuitive. It's very much feeling and believing that the way that we feel is what we need to communicate. And it's sextiling Uranus. And so Uranus is going to want to express what it is that Mercury has to communicate. And so this is a potential to kind of balance out with the intellectual Mars in Gemini and Saturn in Aquarius, both air signs, very intellectual, to balance that with the feelings and the intuition that can come from having our Mercury in Pisces. The importance here is that sometimes when Mercury is in Pisces, it can be delusional. It can be stuck in my own beliefs. And if my beliefs and my intuition are too closely tied and connected to my trauma, then it's difficult to understand if it's my intuition or if it's a trauma response. And so Chiron is also very active over the next couple weeks, and giving us a beautiful opportunity to heal some of the things that come up during this time of balancing out, am I feeling what is true, or am I feeling what is true for me, and how do they differ? And so that's all kind of happening on the 21st, and pulling us into really this, the full moon that happens on the 28th, full moon in Libra that happens on the 28th, is really a pivotal moment. And we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to do a different cosmic update for the full moon because it's so impactful for this shift in energy that a lot of us are feeling. So I want to make sure that I highlight a lot of the aspects and kind of go through that with you. But on the 21st, the moon is still in Cancer, so it's hitting, in the morning, it's hitting that square to our Aries planets, which are the Sun, Venus, and Chiron. And then in the evening, when it gets to 8 degrees, it's going to sextile Uranus and it's going to trine Mercury. So that same Uranus-Mercury energy that I was just talking about then is going to pull in another harmonious aspect with the moon. And the moon is our feelings. The moon is wanting to express our feelings. So this is a time where we really may feel imbalance and able to express or feel some type of the things that we've been holding inside. And that expression then plays into the next few days. So the 22nd, it's a Monday, and Mondays are ruled by the moon, so it's Moonday. And in this day, the moon is still in Cancer. And so it's going to the only aspect that it's going to hit is a trine to Neptune. So Neptune and Cancer, Neptune is at home in Pisces, so this is all water energy, so this is very intuitive. So on the 22nd, on this Monday, Moonday, it could be you could be tired. It's a good time to kind of nap if you can, tap into your intuition, because the intuition energy is just beyond on this day, because we have, again, the moon, which is intuitive, at home in Cancer, and it's doing a harmonious trine to Neptune, which is dreamy and intuitive, at home in Pisces. And so, again, could be very lethargic that day. Could also be a day where you really can have the ability to tap into your intuition and ground into your center, what is true for you. Because as we move into the 23rd could be a much more difficult day, because there are so many different types of energies happening. And so I'm not going to get into all the different aspects, because they do get a little bit confusing once we start talking about semi-squares and sesqui-squares and, half squares and all these different things. And so I'm going to try to stick out of that. But if you have questions about it, please let me know in the comments or find me online at the Autistic Astrologer, and we can dialogue about it as much as you would like. But I'll try to keep that stuff to a minimum. But the main point here is that Mars is becoming more active as we get into the 23rd, and Mars is our aggressor. And so one of the main things and themes about Aries season is to make sure that we're doing our best to tap into the assertion that comes with Mars energy, and not so much the aggression that comes in with Mars energy. And so as Mars hits this aspect to Pluto, which is in Capricorn, this is going to create some stress. So there's the potential for stress and conflict to come out on the 23rd. We also have a mutable square. So we have Mercury that's in Pisces is going to square Mars at 11 degrees Gemini. So this is anxious. This is tension. This is high anxiety, high stress. So again, with Mercury and Pisces, we're relying on our intuition. But with Mars here, we may be wanting to communicate our intuition, communicating what we know or what we believe, because Pisces is about I believe, what we believe that we know, and wanting to communicate that. And again, this isn't just us, but this is also awareness for when we communicate with other people, right? Because others are going to be feeling the same energy. So someone may speak on something that they believe to be true, but because it's also tied with Mars energy and Mercury is in Pisces, so Mercury in Pisces, it may be a delusion. It may be not accurate at all. We may be in our trauma space, and so we think that something is true, and so we spread that. Okay, and with Mars, we shout it, and we want to get our point across. And so this is happening on the 23rd, and it could be very difficult, very stressful, very anxious. This is also the third time that these two planets aspect together and meet. So the first time was at the beginning of the year. It was on January 8th. The second time was on February 10th. And this third time will happen on March 23rd. And so this may be, with Mercury and Pisces, we may be misleading ourselves, others, someone else may be misleading us intentionally or not. And so on the 23rd, it's an important time to kind of ground in and figure out what is true And is it necessary to speak on that right now? Because there are going to be opportunities in the following days that are more clear and that we have a better idea of what may be coming up. Because Pluto, if you remember, on this day also is forming an aspect to Mars. And what Pluto does is Pluto brings things to light. Pluto is the underworld, and so when it's being aspected, it will often bring up things that, you know, were hidden or that we didn't know before. And so on this day, if we choose to communicate things that we think are accurate and need to be said, Pluto may be hiding or covering up some of the truth and the things that we need to really fully see that picture. And so this may be a time where something gets expressed that blows something out of proportion because it's not necessarily accurate. We may find ourselves speaking on facts that aren't actually facts. And so again, this is happening for us, but it's also happening for other people around us. So keeping that in mind as well when we're having dialogue with people, that this Pisces energy that's hanging around, and Mercury, our communicator, being in Pisces, can really be delusional sometimes. It can just straight out lie. And sometimes it's because we think it's the truth and we think it's fact, right? But Pisces is very much cloudy at times. If we aren't clear on what is intuition and what is ego or what is trauma response. And so as we move through these next couple weeks, it's important to kind of come into your intuition, understand your intuition, which is, you know, if you're interested in connecting with that, that's one of the things that I offer is intuition coaching. And we kind of go through how to tell the difference in what these feelings are and what they mean and all of that stuff. So if you want to shoot me a message, I'll help you with any time and space that I have. You can also schedule a session by emailing me directly or finding me on any of my social media platforms. I'd be honored to help you to kind of decide what is intuition or understand it or just meet you wherever you are on that journey. So the 23rd has the potential to be kind of a stressful day. And so my invitation here would just be to be aware of the energy as always, which is why I do these cosmic updates, is just so that we can be aware of what's happening in the energy. I'm not saying don't speak on anything, right? I want you to express yourself and I want you to share your knowledge and your wisdom and all those things. And also I want you to be aware that there is this potential for us to maybe just double check. Like, is this necessary for me to say, or is this what I think is true? Like, and just being aware. Astrology for awareness. I'm all about it. As we move into the 24th, though, the moon is now moved into Leo. And as it moves into Leo, it's going to highlight that square between Uranus and Saturn. So the Uranus and Saturn square has been happening. I'll post a link on the video to that if you're not familiar with it. I don't want to go too far into it here. But the Uranus and Saturn square energy is all about past and future structures and freedom. And so that's going to get highlighted on Wednesday morning. And with the moon in Leo, we want to express. So I said before, on the 23rd, there may be some delusions that are coming up and we want to double check, is it something that we want to express? Well, as the moon moves into Leo, we do want to express. So there's going to be an urge to express here, especially in the morning on the 24th, which is a Wednesday. And this is where we may see some of the trickle or the fallout of what happened from the stress of the 23rd and the 22nd, because as the moon is in Leo, we do want to talk, we do want to express, we do want to say the things that, you know, we are feeling inside. And so we may show those feelings, and you know, that's okay. And also just be aware of the energy, because again, Mercury is in Pisces, and with Mercury in Pisces, we have the potential to think something is true and believe it with everything inside of us, and it still be a little bit delusional, right? Because everyone's reality is their own reality based on their lived experience. And so just being aware of that as we move into this Moon in Leo time period from the 24th and the 25th, you know, we're gonna want to show and share our feelings around the things that are happening with those other external planet aspects. On the 25th, so as we move into the 25th, we finish the Moon in Leo, and we also have Mercury, still in Pisces, is going to square the nodes in mutable Gemini and Sagittarius. So what this, and Mars is very close to that. So Mars is there, our aggressor is there, our passionate person, our lover, our warrior is very active still with this square at 13 degrees with Mercury and the nodes. This is stress around communication. So over the last few days, right, I've talked about that energy with Mercury in Pisces. So we've been wanting to communicate. Leo moon has us wanting to share and express our feelings and our emotions. And then as we hit this exact square on the 25th, there is stress around that communication, and it's going to be falling back into patterns, right? So our nodes are all about karmic energy. And so when Mercury squares the nodes, a square is tension, it's conflict. Mercury is our communicator. Okay, so stress around communication with our nodes, with our past. And so we may find ourselves wanting to fall back into past patterns, right? Maybe, well, that's going to be different for anyone, you know, but just being aware of the fact that we're wanting to evolve forward and not coming backwards into those past patterns. The North Node in Gemini is about forward movement. The South Node holds us back. The nodes are a whole different conversation, what they're doing with Neptune, and you know, maybe I'll try to touch on that in another video. But around the 25th, you know, there's this opportunity for us to easily slip back into past communication patterns, and so being aware of that and making sure that we're focusing on moving forward and moving ahead. Venus is moving faster than the sun, so Venus is quickly catching up to the sun here, and they're meeting up on the 25th and 26th at 5 and 6 degrees of Aries. Chiron is at 8 degrees, so we're now within a 2-degree orb of Chiron, the wounded healer, and this is where we really tack in the ability for healing. When we have the nodes in place, so this square with Mercury and the nodes, past life, past patterns in this life, generational trauma that gets passed through. This is all related to those Chiron wounds. And Chiron's going to be activated from now until, you know, into April. And so healing opportunities are here for sure. And Venus being further off than the sun, I mentioned before, there's this ability for us to not really be able to pinpoint what it is that we want and need. But if we tap in to our intuition, we tap in and we ground and we find our center, our heart center, Aries will be able to help us align our core, our sun, our core essence, our energetic line that we hold within us, right, our sun, with our needs and our wants and our goals and our passions, which is Venus. And so there's this beautiful ability for healing opportunity, and whether that is forgiving yourself, right, or, you know, forgiving someone else. When I talk about healing, I'm not depending on external forces. This is all healing that you can do within yourself, for yourself, right? Not for anyone else, but for yourself when you're ready. And there will be activations that come up with this energy that will offer that opportunity for you to forgive yourself or forgive someone else and move forward. And that's what Aries season is about. Moving forward into new territory, new adventures, right? And tapping into this new buzz and alignment that we can find as we have the sun and Venus and Chiron all right together in Aries. And that's still the 25th as we move into the 26th. The sun is still conjunct Venus, and the moon is very active on the 26th. So, and it's relevant because we're moving closer to the 26th. The 28th is the full moon. So on the 26th, we're very active with the moon. It's in mutable Virgo. And we have a lot of energy in Virgo on the 26th. We have the moon that's in mutable energy. I don't know what I said. But anyway, there's a lot of planets in mutable energy on the 26th. So we have the moon in Virgo, and it'll make one harmonious aspect to Uranus. It's a trine to Uranus. And this energy is the ability for us to understand something on a deeper level, or like this moving forward and ease of like an aha moment, almost like an epiphany. And so that's potential, but otherwise it could be a really stressful day. Virgo moon is very analytical, and it's having very irritating aspects. So a quincunx is an aspect that happens when they're five signs away. And so it's irritating, it's confusing. They don't really see each other at all, these energies, when they're in this position. And so the moon is going to quincunx the sun, Venus, and Chiron, which are all in Aries. And it's also going to form that on the other side with Saturn. There's also a sesqui-square and a semi-square happening with Pluto and Mars in the nodes. So what that means is that there's a lot of irritating potential energy happening on the 26th internally with our moon, with our emotions, with our feelings. It being in Virgo, so we may be looking for answers, we may be looking for structure, we may be looking for wanting to dig out things, and we just probably aren't going to have it on this day on the 26th. And so potential for stressful day on the 26th. The 27th, though, starts to pick up on this full moon energy as the moon moves into Libra on the 26th. So there's also an aspect happening between Venus and Jupiter that could have this day being like, I've done too much. I've overpromised. I've overindulged. I've given too much of myself in some place. I can't withstand this, whatever. Too much. So Venus is our wants, our needs, our passions, our love. Jupiter expands that. And so it's a half square. And so it's not a full square, so it might not be something that like really this energy might not slam you out of the water, but it will be there on the background of maybe I've done too much. Maybe I've overpromised or overextended somewhere, a feeling of excess in something on the 27th. But we really start to pick up on the full moon energy here because it moves into Libra on the 27th and squares up for that exact full moon that happens on the 28th in Libra. And I'm going to try not to get too far into that because I'm already over 30 minutes. So I apologize. Thank you for hanging. Or coming back if you're just in and out. I do that as well. So I'm going to try not to get too far into the full moon, but basically as we finish out this month, actually let's do that. Let's hang out here. We're going to stop on the full moon, and then I'll do a kind of like end of the month cosmic update for the rest of it. But this full moon is such a potent energy for us to really drive forward and away from the past and into this new dream that we were, discussing during the new moon, the new moon that happened a couple of weeks ago. And now we're in that full moon process, and Neptune is really playing with our dreams and